Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're playing some Unlimited DragonCraft. This is an OTK style dragon using the Phoenix, Roost, Lord of Seas, Zeal combination. Those three cards seem to do a pretty magical job of getting you to the victory, which is awesome. The only real problem with these decks is that it's very situational, and if you run up into a mirror, you are pretty much screwed if you play your Phoenix Roost first. I actually had a mirror match, I barely lost, but it was dragged out so much. It was kind of ridiculous in the end, but still a lot of fun when it works, so we're going to take a quick look at it and get right into it. So there's been a lot of Portal, Dragon, and that's mostly what I've seen on Unlimited at the moment. So it's been hard to get any variation in matches, but the couple of wins I had were against Portal. It's probably one of the more likely ones to actually pull this off in a reasonable way, although the last match was pretty dodgy, let's put it that way, but this one was pretty smooth. So the main crux of this deck, of course, is the win condition, going for that OTK. Really, there's not much else to it. Everything else is just draw power or a way to pull a certain card or a way to deal with early threats that may get in your way in that kind of start of the game period. So overall, it's not too bad though. So Dragon Summoner does make a pretty decent play, especially since it can pull only Dragon Summoner, Zeal, or your big drop with the Dread Sea, since there are only those 4 cards available once you do have one in your hand. Dragon Emissary is actually really good, although I am running only 2 Phoenix Roost. I had to actually make those 2 Phoenix Roosts, and I kind of ran out of vials after that, so I was like, well, I can't make a third one yet. I think 3 would make this deck a lot more consistent at least, since you could pull them quite easily and get them down to 4 value when you're only running 1 of each. It's the main reason we are only running 1 of each of Zeal and of course Dagon? It should be Dragon, it's just Dagon, but either way. So I decided to go for Phoenix Roost. It's pretty safe to do this against Portal compared to some other crafts. This was mainly because I felt I could quite easily go for another Phoenix Roost next turn, which would lower down to a 3 and a 1 drop, which unfortunately isn't quite enough, but it could be some potential. And of course we end up getting the Neapolitan Amulet. This is why you run Seraphic Blade, as it is purely a counter, and it seems to do a good job of doing exactly that, countering. So Sneer of Disdain first is what I went for. That at least allowed me to wipe something out, and then we can just use Dragon Wings to clean up the last bit of mess. And now we go next turn, Windrider Zeal into Lord of Seas. It's pretty much our win right there. The odds of Portal being able to pull off lethal from that position is not high, so I was reasonably safe. Of course, they're definitely going to try their best to get there, but without getting a full-on Maisha play out, it really wasn't going to happen. If you are looking for a consistent deck though, I don't recommend this one. While it is reasonably quick matches, most of those matches are, hey, I didn't get what I need and I need to concede because it's not good to drag out. But when it goes off, it feels pretty great, so you can't really argue too much against that. It's not as good as the old tilting at windmills, I feel, as the consistency just isn't there. Maybe if you were just using this as a possible top end, but then you can't play all 3 of them in one turn, so you have to set up in advance, which makes it a little more difficult. So I'd say out of 6 games, these were the 2 wins I had. There were a couple of close games for mirror matches, but it really just come down to, hey, I'm being forced to play a card, or they had an extra backup of the couple of cards they were running because they were slightly different variations, and really that was the trouble I ran into with this variation in particular. I think if you were just running it as a standard good top end, it would have some potential, but outside of that it might be more difficult. I want to consider a tilting at windmills variant of this, which could work. It would require, of course, Phoenix Roost still making it difficult, but it might play out a little bit better. I would like to test it and see, for sure. The main advantage that the Phoenix Roost variant has, of course, in this one, is that you can set it up over 2 turns, whereas if you went for the tilting play, it would definitely take a lot more to set up, and it would not be quite as fun, that's for sure. So this match was a little more awkward. I thought I had a way to go for it when I didn't, and that really screwed me over, but the early Phoenix Roost at least was a reasonable start, especially with Dragon Emissary getting me an extra Phoenix Roost, which would only cost me 2, so can't really go wrong with that. They were going for some wards though, and some pretty difficult cards to deal with. Fortunately though, we have some stuff in our hand that we might be able to use. Dragon Oracle's a good draw, Sneer of Disdain was a perfect top deck, and that will actually allow us to wipe this all out with a quick evo. If I had to draw Zeal, I would have just been able to pretty much go for victory right there, but unfortunately we missed out on that. Only slightly. So Alter Plane Onslaught. And a Mystic Artifact, okay. Analyzing, into Icarus. So they were just really going wide. If they had double watered, it could have been a pretty big catastrophe. Luckily, Overwhelm and Crush, not a bad card. Unfortunately for us, we end up getting double Dragon Summoner. Like, we're going Dragon Summoner into Dragon Summoner. That's not good. Ideally, it would have went Dragon Summoner into Zeal, which would have actually left me with just enough points to play the combination, even if I didn't have enough space. At least then I would have had the points to play it, which would have been better, but not really working for me. So we let our opponent kind of go for it here. Not that it was going to make a big difference at this point, since it is only turn 6 for them. All they could really do was basically what they had done. And since we ended up with the 2 board slots free, that was enough to go for our win condition lethal, taking it out for 20 damage. Really does feel good when you pull it off, but it's very situational. I definitely would love to see a much more refined way down where you can actually have a decent deck that can support itself, and then have this as a top-end combination. That would be really nice, but otherwise, if you guys hopefully did enjoy this, it should be a lot of fun. We'll take a quick look at the deck and get back. So definitely fun, but outside of that, definitely not competitive. I feel like it's so situational to get this top end going. I definitely, with another Phoenix Roost, could help it out for sure. I'd probably just drop a Dragon Consort down to add that in. Otherwise, everything else is basically just purely draw power. I'm sure other people have a list. This is just a list I found that I thought looked interesting. It's running so many spells and effects that it's insane, and the Dragon Summoner is really the only other follower that isn't one of your 2 win condition cards, so pretty nuts. And of course, it does use the Water of Walkers to at least bolster your board a little bit if you have to drag it out or need to trade in stuff. It helps you protect that early game, so that's kind of nice. If you guys did enjoy this video, hit the like button and subscribe. You'll find a deck list in the description below. Until next time, guys, see ya.